Another thing is we live in the desert, but we're in the middle of a large city and we're close to the ocean. And at night, especially if you walk out into the neighborhood or downtown, you can feel the ocean, the cool ocean breeze coming in off the ocean. Of course, the ocean breeze is coming off the ocean, but that's just kind of special to be walking around at night and be like, oh, that's air that just came off the ocean, you know? That's something that is now feels normal. Another thing is accepting downtime and non-stimulating activities. I feel like, well, I'm from a big city in the States, and so at any point you could go see a movie, or there's something you can do that will stimulate your brain, maybe do something online. But sometimes here, it's not often, but sometimes the electricity will go out or the internet will go out or it's really slow and you just have to be like, oh, maybe I won't watch something on Netflix now, or I can't scroll through Facebook, or I can't do this or that, or oh, there's only 4 movies options at the theater, so if I don't like one of those, we can't see that, so we just have to go do something else. And so people here often just go and downtown and walk around the plaza, or just sit outside their homes in the evenings and talk with their family. And I think I was so used to having my brain just always stimulated by something interesting. And at first it was difficult to accept just there being downtime and being okay with it and enjoying that downtime and letting myself accept and enjoy it instead of feeling like, well, why aren't we getting something done, or shouldn't we be doing something else? And that is connected to another thing about the plaza. Here, in every city has a plaza or a downtown square, and in Trujillo, while in my neighborhood everything closes down 9 or 10, so you go out and even though the neighborhood was hopping during the day with cars and buses and people, in the evening there's nothing. But if you go downtown, go to the plaza, 9, 10, 11, 12, there will be friends and couples and families, even with small children, out just walking around, maybe buying snacks from street vendors. And it's one of my favorite things about Trujillo, just being able to go downtown and just walk around and see life going on at the plaza or at the mall. So that's another thing that just feels like normal, feels like home now. And another thing, which I know you guys have probably remember me mentioning a lot, are the sounds of my neighborhood. I remember when I first got here, there were just so many sounds coming in off the street that I didn't know what they were, and now I know exactly what every sound is. So we have one guy who has this whistle that plays this like interesting eerie woo noise, and he goes around with his little iron wheel, I guess it's iron, and sharpens knives and sells pot handles. So if you hear that and you know one of your knife needs sharpening, you run to the door and he sharpens your knife for 1 sol. Or say your pot handle broke, you go and buy a pot handle from him. The bread guy, you can go to people buy bread every day, twice a day here, fresh bread. And so you can go to the bread store or the bakery, or you can just wait for the bread guy to come around your neighborhood. And he has this little like a clown horn. And so when you hear that, you hear everyone's doors opening and they're running to go catch the bread guy. The fruit guy, there's a guy who comes around with a cart, and every day he just yells out, mandarin oranges for so much, avocados, limes, and he just says what fruit he has in his cart and how much it is. And so instead of having to run down the store for fruit, you can just go out and buy from him. The scrap metal guy, there's a guy who comes around and on his loudspeaker says, I take old microwaves, old metal, old notebooks, old clothes, whatever he could take and sell, he'll take off your hands for you. The broom and dustpan guy. There are uh, there's this one specific guy who carries brooms and dustpans and around the neighborhood and yells brooms and dustpans, and I've actually bought from him twice. Um, at first I was like, I won't buy from him, but now you just learn to take advantage of those noises and those people. There's the tamale lady who doesn't come around as often here, but she yells out tamales, tamales. And obviously there's always dogs barking and kids getting out of school. We're right in between two schools, so that's something that always gets pretty loud in the afternoons. And from my office on the other side of campus, if I have the window is literally gives to the street. So as I'm sitting there, I'm listening to the cars passing by, people walking by, talking on their phones or talking to each other. And because my window literally gives to the street, at least about once a week, someone will come up to the window and ask. They see that we're a religious organization and will come and ask for help. They usually say, my son's in the hospital and I need so much to pay for his medical bills. Would you please help us? And so at first that was really overwhelming because I didn't know always how to respond, or I didn't always have something. But I'm getting used to that, and and also I feel like my fellow Peruvians are better at recognizing if the person is telling the truth or not, which has been interesting to learn more about too. But anyways, so those are some things here in Trujillo that in the beginning were new, were overwhelming, or were exciting, and now they just kind of feel like home. They feel normal. And in Cartavia, where we go on the weekends and on Wednesday nights to be with Nelson's family and to be with our church, there is a sugarcane factory, which is the main draw of the town. There's most of the families have someone in the family that works at the sugarcane factory or in the sugarcane fields, and every once in a while the factory lets out steam from the boiling of the sugarcane, and the entire town fills with this low whooshing noise of the steam being released from the factory, and it'll last for about half an hour. And so it's just loud enough to where if you're talking with someone, you'll have to say, "Oh, what did you say?" once the steam starts. And if we're in church, it'll fill the sanctuary with a little whooshing echo. And so that's something that's interesting about life that wasn't normal for me before, but now I know, oh, that's just the sugarcane factory letting off steam. And also, about once a month, they burn, maybe every couple months, they'll burn the sugarcane fields. It burns the leaves off the plants and leaves the stalk to be harvested without the leaves that would cut into the workers' hands. And so the entire town gets sprinkled with a little bit of ash, and you'll find it in your room, and you'll find it in the kitchen and pots that are in the cupboards, and you're like, how did this even get in here? And now that it just feels normal. And finally, one of Nilton's favorite things, and now one of mine too, is when you're driving into Cartavio, often you can smell the sugar cane being processed and the molasses being processed in the sugarcane factory as the bus drives in. So if your window's open, you get a whiff of that sweetness coming into town. And Milton always says, that's the smell of my town. But you also, it's just, there's lots of smells in Peru. You also will get a whiff of the standing water in the sugarcane fields, which it isn't always a good smell. But that's another thing, is just smells. And I know this video has been a little long, but those are things that have, in the beginning, were just totally different ways of living for me. I've lived in Arlington, which is a pretty big city, but in the neighborhoods. So I've never lived in the middle of a big city. And so that's been new, living in the middle of a big city where there's public transportation and lots of movement, but it also being different than living in the States. But then also new things in Cartavio, in a town that's small and everybody knows each other's name, or everyone at least knows which family people are from by just seeing their faces. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that. Stay tuned for more videos in this series of my 5th anniversary in Peru. Thanks. Love you guys. Bye.